Salutations, one and all, and welcome to the Drop Dead Gorgeous Gallery. I'm your host, the Sinister One, Murky Monday, and allow me to be your guide in our newest exhibit, Cardi B. Yeah, Cardi B. And let me tell you what, this was an interesting one because I'm not going to say that I'm a fan of Cardi B by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not really into her music, but my wife certainly is. She fucking loves Cardi B. I think Cardi B is her fucking spirit animal. For those of you who don't know, Cardi B is kind of a flip on something that has reference to me and something that I know in Bacardi. Back in the day, I used to be a bartender, and even before that, I spent a lot of time drinking, and Bacardi was one of my favorite rums. And as it turns out, my wife loves rum. That's in fact, we were drinking some rum, and that's how we made a baby. Yes, indeed. So the reason why she loves Cardi B is probably because it has something to do with rum. Anyway, Cardi B has some very interesting music, to say the least. She is certainly outspoken. She is not going to hold back when she says the things that she says. And she is an open faucet, even to a fault, I would say. She's said some things that has gotten her into some trouble, no doubt. But despite all of that, despite her outrageous personality and despite all of the media hype and everything going on with this young lady's life, being a mother of what, 3 kids at this point, maybe 4. Like I said, I don't follow her, but I know she's got a little basketball team. I know that she's had some issues with some dudes out there in the world, and she's been through a lot. I can certainly say that. She has transformed herself in physical ways. She is an anomaly in the sense that she is no longer a natural bodied person, I guess would be the best way to put it. But at the end of the day, this is a person whose spirit is, I can't even put a word on it. It is just a very extraordinarily bright spirit inside this woman right here. And love her or hate her, she is definitely a legend, definitely an icon. I have been to the Bronx, and I'm glad to say that I left the fucking Bronx. Oh my God. So Cardi B coming from the Bronx, let me tell you, you can't, I'm sure there are places that are lower, but you can't, wherever they're lower, it's right next to the fucking Bronx. Let me just tell you, I saw some of the worst violence in my life on the streets in the Bronx. I was never really scared in New York, except for when I was in the Bronx. And let me just tell you, the truth being the truth. And that's where she's from. That's where she's from. She's from, the burned out Bronx, and to come up the way that she came up out of that, it goes to the feeling that I have about painting this painting. At first, in listening to her music, I was going to name this painting #problematic because Apparently, that was something that was, the beginning of Cardi's career, that, that she was hard to work with and difficult and all that. And hashtag problematic became something that was like her calling card. And I was going to call this hashtag problematic because in the way I see things, being problematic is good. I do believe that there's a such thing as good trouble. You've heard of it, and I believe that, you can cause some good problems. Certainly, we all have this in ourselves that we are royalty in our own minds, right? That we are gods in our own brain. And so, yeah, sometimes we can be a little much and, be a little difficult, certainly. But to be quite honest with you, in painting this painting, this was the easiest painting I have done so far. It literally, there was no place where, I didn't have to paint her face 5 different times to try and get the tones right. I didn't have any issues getting the mouth or the nose or the eyes right. Everything came together. And there's other elements. She's wearing a basically a tie with a collar and a black dress. You don't see the bottom part of the dress, but I mean, there's a lot to that. It's not just her face. You see her arms, the background is one of those things where, it's people in the background in the photograph, and I didn't want to put that, but at the same time, I put something to give it the feel like there's something behind her, like, cameras are flickering and watching her and, all of those things. But at no point did I ever really struggle in painting this. This was just a very easy and delightful painting. I didn't expect that from Cardi B. I didn't think that, it would be as easy to accomplish as it was. And I'm just very thankful for that. So I couldn't in good conscience call this painting hashtag problematic, but in the same song where I heard that phrase, she mentions herself as being a concrete rose. And that's some old school shit. If you ever grew up in an old city, like I'm from Philly, the idea of the rose that grows out of the concrete is basically that young lady that comes out of nowhere, comes from the fucking bottom, the cracks in the cement of the sidewalks in the hood, just growing up in that place, understanding and seeing that place. It's like, where they're coming from was where rap came from, right? Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, broken glass everywhere, people pissing on the stairs, they just don't care. You can't take the smell, you can't take the noise, you've got no money to move out, you've got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with a baseball bat. You try to get away, but you won't get far, and the man with the tow truck repossessed your car. Just that place, that's where she's coming from. I know that spot, I know that feeling, I understand. And the rose that grows through the cracks out of the concrete, that's what this is. So I named it that. Cardi B, Concrete Rose. And, it just so easy a painting. It just, I was thrilled. I wish all of them could come this easy. When I do these paintings, I try to imagine myself with a timetable. I like to try to complete them in a certain amount of time. I don't want to spend too much time on them because there's so many paintings to do, right? But sometimes, they take a little bit longer than others, just in the nature of, trying to get the likeness as best I can. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being, and my eyes aren't doing very well. I'm an older gentleman, and, arthritis, the art in my life is arthritis at this point, you know what I mean? But You know, I'm fighting through and I'm struggling through, and all I'm trying to do really is just to bring the best likeness I possibly can. Does it always come through? No, not by a long shot. I would say that, you know, maybe 1 out of 10 of the paintings I do, I'm happy with. That I feel like I nailed it, like I did it. There are so many paintings that for me are so far off in my mind from what the picture looks like, you know, but I'm just trying to make a good painting and not really so much trying to copy a photograph. So at the end of the day, when I have something where I'm struggling with the likeness or something like that, you know, I pull back and I just paint a painting. And at that point, it isn't about the likeness, it's about how it looks on its own as a painting. Because never do the two things meet. You know, whenever you see the painting, you're never going to see the picture right next to it to compare. Except in this instance, right here, right now. But when the painting is hanging on your wall, there's not a picture of the picture next to it hanging as a cross-reference. The painting has to stand on its own. So at some point, that's what I do. I leave the photograph alone and I just paint the painting so that it has its own strength. And a lot of times, by not referencing what's the reality of the photograph, you know, sometimes it's a little different. Sometimes, you know, it's not exactly a 100% likeness of that person. But like I said, I'm not trying to achieve that. And that gap in the distance between it being 100% perfect and really the 80% that I'm shooting for, well, that 20% is me and my creativity. Just trying to make that image, that painting, that canvas look as interesting as I possibly can. And hopefully when you look at that canvas, when you look at that painting, you know who it is. And that's it. To me, mission accomplished. On to the next one. Let's see who else I can paint. Let me tell you, right now the list is long. I got a lot of legends, and there are all kinds of people that are just, you know, waiting to get painted. But you know, I really would love to paint you. You're the legend that is the most important legend to me. You're the interesting face that I haven't seen, or maybe I have seen. Maybe you're one of my homies or homegirls. I want to paint you if I haven't painted you already. If I painted you already, let me paint you again. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Like I've always said, beauty is skin deep, ugly goes all the way to the bone, baby. And you are drop dead gorgeous. Yeah, thanks for watching. Cardi B, you know where she at. You know where she be. Yeah, you better watch out. She'll pop a cap on you. That's how I heard she shoots. Man, you know that Cardi B is a real one. I mean, you know, certainly she has, you know, fake nails and fake hair, and you know, she got a bag and fixed her teeth. Hope you hoes know it wasn't cheap. Then she got, you know, fake boobies, and I heard she went to Brazil and got that culo worked on. But she a real one. You know what I mean? Don't front, don't play in her face. She'll clap back at you real quick. You know, don't, and then she'll go cry about how she murdered you. I'm telling you that right now, because she's an emotional one. She's, you know what I mean? She's got that Bronx inside. She'll, you know, hell yeah. She's a lover and a fighter, for real. She'll stab you. Pop up, guess who, bitch?
Thank you for your visit to the Drop Dead Gorgeous Gallery. We hope you enjoyed your time while you were here. We encourage you to come back with your earliest convenience. If you would like to be a victim, an exhibit in the gallery, contact us. Thank you.
頑張ってください